Can you hear me? Cool. I guess let's get started. So my session today is about database security. In this session, I'll try to put the spot on the importance of securing the database layer. Along the lines, I'm going to show you kind of two different attacks on two different databases that have been done using out-of-the-box DB abilities without kind of a sophistication, apparently. So, before moving on, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Islam Heralla. I'm a senior software developer. I've been doing this for the last 16 years. I had a BSc in Math and Computer Science, and I mainly do develop algorithms, mainly for detection and prevention based on data and databases. So, quick introduction. So it's common to think that databases are the place to host and store our data. And today, I'm going to challenge it a bit. I'm going to ask you, is it the only thing that we can do with the database? I'm going to show you how attackers are being able to use out-of-the-box super dummy features in a database in order to get in, compromise, and attack the database and even beyond that. I'm going to show you slightly, and again, it's a 20-minute session, so I'm going to show you a little bit how you could potentially protect your asset. So what do we have on the agenda today? I'm going to start with the database landscape, and then I will do kind of a technical drill down. It's not going to be a massive technical drill down because, again, it's a 20-minute session. And lately, I'm going to show you a bit, some kind of techniques for how you can protect your asset. So let's start with the database landscape. So generally speaking about security, we could say that security is strength considered as the weakest link in the chain. And it's common to think that databases are safe, right? Because of the fact that they are being covered by lots of security layers. But eventually, big organizations been hacked and sensitive data will be leaked out. And if you go back and look for the past 15, 20 months, we could say that big giants like Travelex, Tor Group, whatever giants out there, it's being hacked. I mean, the sensitive data being leaked out, and I'm talking about hundreds of gigabytes, sensitive gigabytes. Personal information, credit cards, so it's a real issue. And today, I'm going to focus on that specifically. But before moving ahead, let me just try to quickly introduce our enemies. So what are the types of threat actors that do we have? And it's kind of segmented into different groups, what we call the insider threat actors and the external threat actors. The insider threat actors also divided into two different groups, the non-malicious and the malicious. The non-malicious is usually a person within the organizations that could be either mistakenly because of an unawareness just left a big door open, or maybe exposing some sensitive data. And again, it's because of an unawareness, nothing up there. And the malicious is a person within the organizations that could be either motivated by money or his own personal reasons. In talking about malicious in the space of the insider threat, we can't ignore initiatives like Lapsus Dollar, which is actually using their social abilities in order to promote and reward employees within organizations to gain their credentials and use them in order to get into the victims. It's up and running market. And the external threat actor, which is also divided into three different groups. The hit and run, the curious, and the resident. The hit and run, what we call the opportunists. It's usually attackers that keep periodically scanning the publicly exposed databases, vulnerable databases, and trying to get in. And once they were able to get in, they will try to take whatever they can take and just leave. The curious is slightly more dangerous because they're looking slightly deeper. They want to feel the data, they want to touch it, they want to measure it, they want to take sensitive things. And the residents, which is the most dangerous one, which is going to be inside the organization, inside the internal network for days, weeks, months, and even years. And actually, if we look at this SonarWind attack, which was really amazing because the attacker was been inside the network for more than 9 months, which is pretty amazing. Okay, so Metri attack. So Metri attack is the way to draw different types of attacks in different stages. And how it's related to us, because we took this concept and we reduce all the noise around, and we create our own database attack matrix that build out of phases and actions. In each phase contains more than one action, and there is no certain order. In the initial phase, where the attacker tried to gain access. In the grip phase, where the attacker tried to keep himself undiscovered. In the preparation phase, where the attacker tried to change configuration, prepare himself, gain credentials, escalate his privilege, and so on. And the last phase, where the attacker tried to actually do the same attack, which is could be by other command execution or lateral movement, maybe by exfiltrating data. Before moving to the next item on the agenda, let me just try, generally speaking, about the database threats. There's kind of two scenarios where the database is the objective. In that case, the attacker mostly interested about the database and the data inside it. And the second use case, where the attacker is mostly important and interested about getting into the network of the organization, they will use the database as a pivot. So we'll use it in order to jump within the organization in order to keep and compromise and penetrate other sensitive things, other sensitive assets beyond the database. That was about the landscape. Let's do kind of a technical drill down. And again, 20-minute session, so I'll do my best. And I'm going to show you two different types of attacks that are being done by different attackers using out-of-the-box abilities without any further sophistication. I'm going to show you a malware deployment using SQL Server, and then I'm going to show you a ransom attack on MySQL. And as I already mentioned before, in the next upcoming slides, you're going to see how the attacks being done using out-of-the-box abilities like audio automation, XP command shell, register management, in order to disable logs, install crypto, disabling import production, and so on. And again, those are super out-of-the-box legitimate abilities within each and every single database. And going back to the attack matrix, I'm trying to highlight and do kind of correlation between the steps that the attacker in this specific attack went through and the attack matrix, our own attack matrix. And you can see that the highlighted steps being through initiating the access, evasion, that I'm going to cover the next slide, weaponization, and then doing the actual attack by executing command. So, quickly a bit about the evasion that I've done. And again, those are evidence that have been taken from real attacks using our honeypots. You can see that in the two examples, they've tried to keep themselves undiscovered by, first of all, disabling all of the logging of the commands that maybe and could be potentially end up with error states. And lately, they tried to disable the SQL profiler phase. I mean, if you're an attacker and you want to attack kind of an asset, you have to keep yourself undiscovered. Otherwise, if you will be discovered, you will be banned. Secondly, I'm going to show quickly how the actual attack be done. So as you can see here, they use audio automation in order to define the script control, and lately to change the execution language to JavaScript, and then they use the eval, it's a command script, to execute the actual attack. As you can see here, they used HTTP requests in order to pull the malware from a malicious endpoint, and then to store it locally in a place that apparently won't trace any suspicious. And lately, to execute the actual attack from the malicious software. And here's a different angle to the same attack by using another abilities with the database. In the previous one, they used audio automation, and this one, they used XP command shell. They've done the same attack in a different techniques. I mean, in a way that they're using XP command shell in order to define the VB script, to store it locally, and to execute it from a place that won't trace suspicious. That was about the malware deployment. Let's just jump a bit to the ransom attack. And you know, I'm kind of moving fast because we ran out of time. This attack shows how the attackers been able to use out-of-the-box ability without any kind of sophistication by doing a brute force and then reconnaissance. I'm going to show in the next upcoming slide the exact command that they've been passing through, and then to try to extract credentials access, and then they did sizing and measurement because they want to know where the goodies are. If they want to run some data, they want to know what the goodies are, which is what's valuable for them, And lately, they dumped the data locally. I'm going to show how they've done it. And they ransomed it and left us with a message saying, your data been hacked, this is my beacon wallet, and that's the amount of money you need. Okay, so going back to the attack matrix, and again, I try to correlate between the different steps that most fitting this specific attack with our own attack matrix, and you can see that they try to initiate access, they try to extract credentials, and to do the actual attack by exfiltration. So those are the commands that the attack built from. And as you can see in the first steps, they try to extract usernames and credentials. And again, super legitimate abilities. And then to try to identify where the goodies are by identifying the database tables and checking and measuring where, when checking the database types in order to know where the goodies. And lately, they done the dump. And again, for those who's familiar with MySQL, you can see that they've used MySQL dump in order to dump the database. And again, it's legitimate out-of-the-box ability. There is no sophistication. They are using out-of-the-box abilities with no hassle. And lately, they dropped the schema and left us with this kind of visit. Of course, I've cleaned the email address to upload as one of those guys. That was about the technical drill down. Let's talk slightly about prevention. And again, 20-minute session, I'll do my best. Before actually talking about the 3 steps of prevention, I'll have to highlight the most fundamental things from our point of view, which is organization actually attend or maybe try to protect their production level assets or important internal assets, but they less care about the development, the CI/CD, the staging, all of those temporary assets, which is apparently huge mistakes. Because it could be used by attackers in order to breach into the organization, and even that development and staging and intermediate assets could contain sensitive data. So the key takeaway from this slide is that you must protect everything that you have within the organization. So let's talk quickly about the 3 steps of prevention. Disabling, what does it mean? So disabling, if you have a database and you have a risky feature that you don't really use it, and you don't really need it, disable it. And disabling is enough because you have to remove it. So if you have a risky feature, then you don't really need it, and you don't really use it, disable it and remove it. And enable what you could enable in terms of monitoring. I'm going to show an example of disabling, removing, and enabling kind of monitoring abilities. But keep in mind, I'm going to show you an example. There's tons of things to do, lots of features to take care of. I'm going to show how you could disable all automation procedure and how you could remove extended procedures. And again, if you remember back the example of the first attack, it's been done by all automation, but then I showed another technique using XP command shell. And this specific example shows just one angle from that time. So you have to take care about all of the neurodots. And the last thing is monitoring. Enable what you could enable in terms of monitoring. If something been changed in the configuration, you want to see it. You want to be aware of that. And lately, enable monitoring for extended procedure creation and automation. And again, it's just an example. Google things, use experts, and do the best to protect your asset. That was about my session, but let me try to just recap a couple of things. So I hope that I was able to go this important the importance of securing the database there. And secondly, as you can see, enabling monitoring is nice, it's okay. But from a different angle, those out-of-the-box abilities from the databases are not enough. Because it's not a human day job. If you're an organization with hundreds or thousands of assets in databases, it's not a human day job to look over all of the logs and correlate the things. And you have to have something that mitigates and mediates all of the things. That means you have to use an automation tool or any kind of tool that helps you to correlate between the behavioral and the data that being ingested and outcomes from the database. And that's it. Questions?